listening to Talk LFC Podcast, an independent podcast for Reds by Reds. Be sure to hit that follow button.
Hello and welcome to Talk LFC Podcast. It is Wednesday, the 18th of January 2017, and with me this evening is, as usual, Sean O'Cleary.
Yes, I'm annoying you again, John.
We just said we'd come on and do a match review as Liverpool took on Plymouth Argyle in the replay of the FA Cup this evening away from home. I forget the name. Is it the home ground or something like that is the name of the stadium? Home Park. That's what it is, Home Park.
They were kind of running out of ideas for the name and they just, Home Park.
Yeah. Sounds got a nice ring to it. Have to say, full house. It was a capacity crowd. They even added in, they used to have a stand when they were in the old second or first division, I think it was. And they've closed it and taken all the seats out of it. And so apparently they put back in some more seating tonight for temporary seats to get more people into the ground.
A few deck chairs,
yeah. I suppose, look, at one of the first things that I wanted to discuss was I wasn't impressed with the chants the Plymouth fans were at.
Kind of disappointing, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. It kind of let them down, considering they were kind of impeccable in the first game at Anfield, and you get the few clowns in. But I think in that case, because you have a full capacity crowd there, I think you'll find that the ones that were singing it were probably not Plymouth Argyle fans or genuine Plymouth Argyle fans. But they were singing about Stevie G not winning a Premier League title, and then they started singing about Steve McManaman. Steve McManaman is a wanker. That was one that rounded out at one point. See, he was there. He's part of the BT Sports commentary team. And he got a bit of shit, yeah. So, I suppose the game itself, how much of it did you see? Did you see all of it, or did you bother?
I saw bits and bobs. I was actually out and about, and I was actually in a restaurant, and then I was kind of watching an online stream of it. Mm-hmm. And I saw Lucas' goal. Great to see him score his first goal since the 16th of September 2010.
Yeah, I thought that was a nice stat.
Yeah. It was not bad at all. Now I bet he was thrilled. But
I'm sure he was. He looked happy, anyways.
Yeah.
I you know something. I just have a soft spot for Lucas, and I think he's a good character, So
I adore Lucas. I really do. I think he's been a very, very good servant of the club. And, he had big boots to fill. I mean, at the time, Alonso was leaving. And, again, he's in the paper because he looks to be retiring at the end of the season. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, Lucas certainly had his fair share of doubters. And he did extremely well to kind of win back the crowd, and I think it's safe to say that he's a fan favourite. I think.
Oh, without a doubt, and he certainly grew into that position over time.
Absolutely.
But apparently, his last goal was September 16, 2010 against Steaua Bucharest. I think it was just shy. That makes it just shy of 7 years. It would have been 7 years in December, and I thought it was really, really funny. The guy that was doing the interview after the match. Made him aware of the fact that it was his first goal in 7 years, and he said, "Oh, really?" He says, "I scored one in training last week, So I thought it was, he saw the funny side of it, and he's able to have a laugh at himself, But I suppose the match in general, really, that was kind of the main highlight. The fact that Lucas scored from a corner. He got on the end of it with his head, and goalkeeper did get a hand to it, but all he did was really succeed in pushing it into the side netting. Obviously, he was delighted with it, but
it was a good corner by Coutinho, and Lucas did well to get up. He's not the tallest of guys either,
No, but he was pretty much unmarked. In fairness, I suppose he got in front of the guy that was marking him. I can't remember his name now. He was number 26, I think. Was it Smith? But yeah, he got in front of him and he got a bullet of a header away. And Stevie G was asked about it afterwards in the aftermatch analysis. Was it true that Lucas scores lots of goals in training? And Stevie G said he does score some, but he says I was the main goal scorer when I was there, and the lead goal scorer in training. So he wasn't letting them have that one. But I suppose, look, it wasn't the best game to watch in the world. It kind of started off a little bit similar to the last game where Plymouth were kind of sitting with 2 banks of 4 and were trying to frustrate us going forward. But once we got the goal, now in fairness to them, they didn't. I'm not saying they sat. They did come out and counter-attack. They did have a couple of chances, and they did look like they were going to frustrate us because we didn't really create a lot early on. But once we got the goal, it kind of changed the game where they had to come out and go for it. And in fairness to them, they did.
Yeah, well, I mean, fair play to them, and I mean, we got an awful lot of stick with the first game off, of course, Manx, which I should really call ABLs anything but Liverpool. They seem to pay more attention to Liverpool than they do their own team. Yeah. But we got an awful lot of stick, and the fact is, we had made quite a lot of changes. We've made 9 changes, I think it was, from the Liverpool United game tonight. So, I mean, it's not a bad turnout for the youngsters. It's good to get. I was a bit disappointed with Origi with his penalty miss. I thought that was a really woeful.
It was a terrible penalty. It was an absolutely terrible penalty. He put it straight down the middle.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it really was. And I kind of sensed that he was going to miss it. The way you look at someone and you're thinking, oh, shit, he's going to miss it. He's going to miss it.
He didn't look confident. But what I've since found out is he actually has missed his last 5 penalties in all competitions. Now, that was his first penalty for Liverpool. But he's missed his last 5 penalties in obviously at club level and international level, whatever level he's taking penalties at. So it's not a great stat, and it was a pity that, Sturridge was only after going off, or wasn't long gone off. I'd say
he didn't look too happy, did he?
No, not a happy camper. Not a happy camper at all. But look, I suppose a 1-0 is better. A 1-0 win is certainly better than going out at this stage, and it sets up the next round against Wolves, which is also is going to be at Anfield. That's on January 28th. 28th, yeah. And actually, an interesting stat: we have 4 games now in 11 days. We have Swansea at home, 4 home games in 11 days, I should say. We have Swansea at home, and then we have Southampton at home, obviously in the FA Cup semi-final, and then we're playing Wolves on the 28th, and then we have Chelsea.
Yeah, I mean, John, you know my view on all of that. I mean, you're bound to kind of run into congestion or run into a busy schedule. It's just how it happens. And, I guess if there was any depth in the squad, we wouldn't need to worry about it as much. And unfortunately, there's not as much in our squad than there is maybe, the likes of Chelsea. Dare I say Man City, because they were absolutely destroyed by Everton there.
But the other thing is, I suppose, it is a point in the season where the cups kind of overlap. We're at the closing stages of the EFL Cup, but we're kind of at the early stages of the FA Cup where the Premier League teams come into it. But I suppose just looking at the match itself, just in terms of player ratings, I suppose start at the back with Loris Karius. I think he did all right. Like he had one situation where he had a long range shot and he did quite well with it. And he had a ball that was sent into him from in the second half, where he looked like he dropped it, but if you've seen it closer in, the ball was actually knocked out of his hand by Garita, I think was his name.
Yeah, Arnold Garita.
Yeah, they looked like they went for the same ball, and Karius had the ball in his hand, and as he was turning round, Gary to kind of knocked his hand down and knocked the ball out of his hand. So luckily enough, the referee spotted it. So he didn't do a lot. He didn't have a lot to do, but he did have a very good save in the first half, as I said. So you know, he did
There was
okay.
I kind of saw like there were some kind of weak moments where I thought, oh Jesus, he nearly balls that one up. But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean, you're not going to be tested too much in games like that.
yeah.
And that's no offense to Plymouth Argyle, which I mean they can really hold their head up high. The fact that they drew 0-0, at Anfield, and had to bring us up for a replay.
Mm.
But I mean, he's not going to be tested as much as he would be, obviously, if he's in a Premiership match.
Yeah. Now there
But
was a situation where he came for a corner. The
yeah,
ball was put right into the centre of the 6-yard box, and he came out and punched and missed it. But luckily enough, it kind of fizzled into nothing, anyways. But
yeah,
I wouldn't be critical over that. Like that was only one situation where he came out, and he has been good on corners in recent games. So that's one area where he has improved his game. I suppose at right back, Trent Alexander-Arnold for the second game in a row, because of what's
Klein's
Klein missing? Got a mental
Klein's
block
got
there.
a rib injury, I think, or
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like
he's
that.
bruised rib. I was impressed with him. I have to say, I was really impressed with him tonight. I thought he handled himself really well. He got down the right side plenty of times, put in a couple of crosses, and he was pretty solid in defence. Um, Again, he looked like at one stage there was a chance for a Garita again. It looked like a solid shout for an equaliser, and he did well to clear the ball. Um, so, but yeah, I thought Alexander did quite well.
Yeah, you think maybe Klopp might have given him the break after the United game, because that was a kind of a huge game to kind of
It
put him
was,
in.
yeah, yeah. He did a
But
little bit of a slow starter in that one, but he came into the game and
yeah,
he played really, really
yeah,
well.
yeah. I
You
mean,
know,
it'll do the kids' confidence an awful lot of good, and hopefully, that's going to be a player that we have to keep an eye out for. I think, hopefully, if he stays on at Liverpool, he'll have a bright future ahead of him.
yeah, definitely. And after tonight, he played really, really well. He was definitely one of our brighter players on the pitch.
Mm.
I suppose after that, then you look at Joe Gomez yet again, another 90 minutes for him. Um, he did. I
Fantastic
thought he
seeing
did
him
quite
back.
well. Yeah, he did. He did really, really well. There was one situation. I know he got booked, but there was a situation where he was on the touchline with one of the Plymouth guys, and he was putting him under pressure. And Gomez had the time and the frame of mind to do a cheeky little back heel up the line, uh, up to Alexander Arnold. So I thought he did quite well. Um, I think maybe the yellow card might have been a little bit harsh, but anyways, that's beside the point. He had a solid game. He didn't have huge amounts to do, but um, I think he did. He had a good game. Um,
I
uh,
think he's he's a good player for the future. It's an awful pity, his problems with injuries. He's just
yeah,
been very, very unlucky, and I kind of felt sorry for him. It's great to see him coming back
that's for
uh,
sure.
into the fold, and especially gives us options now in defence. Certainly in the second half of the season, which is going to be, they're going to be coming fast, and we've got to just have backup. So I think, he's good to get back into the team.
Exactly.
Uh,
It's good to have a bit of depth in the squad as well when you can bring
yeah,
a player that caliber of Joe Gomez in and slot him in at the back. And another solid performance at the back there for Lucas, our makeshift centre back, who's rumoured to be going out in the last three transfer windows, but is still there. And apparently Klopp was asked in his post-match interview tonight whether he was going to be going out in this transfer window, and he said no.
well, that's good to hear. I think it would be a bit silly to get rid of Lucas, especially if we're looking to get rid of Sacco. That clearly that's not that's never going to sort itself out. Clapping himself.
Mm.
I think Lucas can play a good position. I think, obviously because he's older now. I don't think he has the legs to be in midfield, and I think
No.
In defence it's perfect for him. And he's a good AL player.
He is. Now he did score the match. He did score the goal tonight, and I was delighted to see him score because I just think, as I said earlier on, he's a character. But he did. He was a bit leggy. He gave away a couple of free kicks, which kind of is a trait of Lucas. He tends to give away kind of the odd silly free kick. But he gave away one free kick kind of high up the pitch, so it led to a chance for Plymouth, but it didn't come to anything, luckily enough. And that was the one we mentioned about Alexander Arnold getting in and getting a good clearance on it. But Lucas was good. I thought he did a job in defence tonight, and he did score the goal. So, and then at left back we had Bertie Moreno. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not a fan. I really am. I think he's definitely, you would know that he's a winger converted to a left back because he can't really defend.
He can't take set pieces either to save his life. I mean, what in the Lord Jesus? I've seen him in the last couple of games taking set pieces, and every time I'm like, what in the Lord Jesus are we doing, allowing him near a set piece?
And I think he's very wasteful when he gets, even if he gets a sniff at goal, he cuts inside on, from the left and shoots from fucking miles out. It's one of the things that bugs me about him. Early on in the match tonight, there was an opportunity for him to where the pass was the better option, and he took on the shot. But look at, as I said, he's not our first choice left back. So seeing him coming into these types of games when there's not much pressure on him, definitely I think if he comes later, if we could go later in the FA Cup, I would rather see James Milner at the left back position than him. But he didn't have a great game tonight. In fairness to him, I wouldn't have rated him that highly. I suppose you moved into the midfield then, and you're looking at young Kev Stewart. He was kind of playing as a defensive midfielder this evening. A kind of an anonymous game is what I would say. He didn't do a whole lot, but he didn't do much out of the way either, I suppose.
Do you rate him as a player, though?
I think at his age, he's 23 years of age, I think he should be further on than he is. I think he'd be a good midfielder for a team lower in the Premier League, but he's not. I don't think he's of the quality to be a Liverpool.
Yeah.
Now, I know he's been thrown in that position. It's not his position. It's a position he's come to kind of in later years. And it was Pep Linders who actually put him in the defensive midfield role. So I suppose he is still growing into it. We spoke about Lucas earlier on and how Lucas took a long time to grow into the role at Liverpool. So again, I'd be willing to give him, the benefit of the doubt for a while. I'd like to see him grow into a good footballer.
Of course, yeah.
But I haven't been overly impressed with him any time that I've seen him in the senior squad. And he was kind of beaten in the ear earlier on. That opportunity where Plymouth hit the post, I thought that was gone in. I genuinely thought that was gone in.
Yeah, I was thinking, oh, here we go again.
Yeah, it was looking a little bit dodgy. Ovie Ejaria, I was impressed with him tonight. I thought he was active. Everything he did was pretty tidy. He made himself available for passes. His movement was good. He did get a booking earlier on in the second half, but I thought he was all right. He was as good as I suppose he was as good as Gomez. Steady.
Yeah.
Didn't do anything exceptional, but did enough to. And I'm looking at a photograph of him here where he nearly tore the shorts off a fella. You can see the black tongue underneath. But anyways, that's for a different kind of podcast.
That's for the ladies.
You
But
know,
I mean, in fairness now, and I'm probably shouldn't be saying this while we've just been talking about tongues and stuff, but you do have a soft spot for him.
for Ajaria, I do.
Yeah.
I do. I think he's a very exciting young lad.
Yeah, yeah.
And you know, that's not for a different kind of podcast. I think, you know, there's no man
Yeah.
there's no man crush going on here. I think he's a talented player.
Yeah.
I think Arsenal were stupid to let him go, because I think this guy has bundles of potential. You know, and he's still only 17, I think, is he? Or is he 18? He's 18, I think. And like to be getting the starts that he's getting, and you know, he's shining in the under 23 squad as well. So, you know, I think this guy has a bright future ahead of him. As does Ben Woodburn, who got a game tonight. Quiet enough sort of a game. He didn't do a huge amount. Nothing exceptional from him. But look, I wouldn't be overly harsh on youngsters in games like this.
No, absolutely not. And I mean, there's a player that you know, I have great admiration for. You know, the score. He was is he not the youngest Premiership player to score a goal in the Premier League?
He is. He beat Michael Owen's record. But like, in fairness to him, like, he started on the right, and he was kind of lost out there. He moved then into the central role, kind of in the second half, and he did kind of come into the game a little bit more then. But again, you know, he wasn't wonderful. But look, as I said, I'm not going to be critical of kids tonight. The job was done, and you know, if we had lost the game, maybe it might have been different. But you know, I wouldn't be critical of kids. You know,
it was always going to be one of those games that, you know, from a set piece. Do you know what I mean? It's either you're either going to demolish them, or you're either just going to, you know, nick a goal and leave it at that. You know, it can go either way. You know.
Yeah. And the person that next up, I suppose, the guy that would have got my man of the match would be Philip Coutinho. He had played only 64 minutes, but he did enough in that 64 minutes, I think, to be head and shoulders the best player on the pitch. You know?
I think we've been missing him. I mean, the squad has a few key players, your Lalanas and all of that, but I think Coutinho brings something to that that squad.
Without a doubt.
No one else can bring. You know, he links well with Firmino. He links well with Lallana. He's just I mean, speaking of January transfer window, my God, we got him on a steal.
That's for sure, yeah.
I mean, they must be kicking themselves.
Well, they kind of had to sell him because financially they were in a bit of trouble. But 8.5 million from Inter Milan in the January transfer window was a steal. You know, it's probably the best. I think it's probably one of the best January transfer window signings we've ever made, with the exception of Luis Suarez, I suppose. But if you look at him tonight, the guy is a second or two ahead of everybody else. He's thinking, he can read a game. Like Sturridge, he put Sturridge in a couple of times tonight, and if Sturridge had been a second quicker, he would have. Like, he didn't even see the pass coming that Coutinho played to him on a couple of occasions. You know, so whether that's Sturridge lacking match sharpness, or whether the fact that just Coutinho is has just a great football brain, I'd be inclined to think that Sturridge was up to match speed. It's just that this guy kind of thinks faster.
Yeah.
You know? But he was easily the best player on the pitch tonight, without a shadow of a doubt. And I know BT Sports showed that Pele played there apparently a few years ago in the pre-season friendly or something. So you know, that's the last time that there was such a quality Brazilian in that stadium, and certainly
till Coutinho came.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I suppose he got an hour under his belt tonight, and I think that was kind of with an eye on the fixture on Saturday. You know, I say if we can get him out for another 60 minutes against Swansea on Saturday and get him back into his telepathic role with Firmino.
Yeah, it's extremely important to get him, fully match fit. And I mean, Jesus, the injury could have been a whole lot worse.
Yeah.
Obviously, when we saw it, we thought, Christ, this is very, very bad for us. Luckily, I mean, he's done well to recover. Is he 100% match fit? I don't think so. But I mean, even whether he's 60% or whatever, he still looks like he's that step ahead of the rest. He's got just such a fantastic football brain and great pace as well, and he's just an exciting player.
He was replaced by young Harry Wilson, a very, very exciting player. He was replaced on the 64th minute. This young lad, his record is phenomenal. Like this, he has 19 goals and 9 assists for the under-23s since stepping up to that level, which is just, I'm expecting good things of this young fella. He came in as a sub tonight. He did have an instant impact. There was a chance created almost instantly when he came on. But, he didn't get a lot of room or a lot of opportunities, so I suppose I wouldn't be critical. And I wouldn't rate a sub anyways unless they scored or.
Yeah, no, he was very lucky, but I mean, he does look like a player for the future, and hopefully right one at that.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I suppose moving on now to Divock Origi. We kind of touched on it earlier on. I thought he was terrible tonight. I thought he wasn't on his game at all. The big standout moment, I suppose, would be the fact that he missed the penalty.
Yeah, no, the penalty was, Jesus Christ, I've seen penalties in my time, and it just, I mean, I'd love to say, well, he slipped or he was put off or something, but Jesus Christ, it was just a horrific penalty. I don't know what he was thinking.
And as you said earlier on, he didn't look comfortable on the ball when he was stepping up to take the penalty. I'd say his 4 previous misses were in his mind. But, I think for someone who's missed 4 penalties, the best thing to do is pick a corner and just fucking blast it. Do you know what I mean? Trying to be cheeky with a ball down the middle of the goals is not something you do. That's something that a confident person that's taken penalties on a regular basis and doesn't miss. That's what someone like James Milner does. Stick it down the middle, pop it up high over the keeper if you're going to do it. But don't put it at fucking ground level or hip height.
Taker. He's a fantastic penalty taker.
Milner, he is. He's confident and there's no messing with him.
No.
But Origi's penalty tonight was terrible. I didn't think he was great either. I thought he was very... I suppose he was kind of taken out of the game as well. But, I thought he was frustrating tonight. Just basically one word. I certainly wouldn't rate him very high. Sturridge. Again, I mentioned earlier on about Philip Coutinho when he played a couple of balls through to him that Sturridge basically looked like he wasn't ready for it because his feet were planted for it. I thought he didn't get a lot of opportunities, but similar to Origi, I thought he was frustrating.
Yeah, well, I think in those games they're obviously going to man mark, the likes of Sturridge and Origi.
Yeah.
But I mean, Sturridge can either be, show no ambition, no passion, and then he can set the whole game alight with brilliance. He's just one of those frustrating players, and unfortunately tonight wasn't really his night. As I said, he looked very disappointed in leaving the pitch, when he was taken off. But
yeah, he didn't look happy. But look at fuck it, he didn't have a great game, so he was going to be expected to be taken off. And I think again, there's a possibility that he could feature at the weekend, or in some of the games, some of the next 4 games. So it's about preserving what you have and keeping players fresh. Jake Humphreys kind of touched on it after the match he kind of quizzed Stephen Gerrard about whether or not he'd sell him, and Stephen Gerrard said, you'd be mad to sell him because his goals per minute ratio is up there with world class. So, and he does have a point. You know, Sturridge can, as you mentioned earlier, Sturridge can be shite, and next thing all of a sudden, one moment of magic and it's a goal. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I do think it would be a very bad idea to sell him. I think certainly in January, most definitely not. I mean, obviously, if the player, has ambitions to go elsewhere, I mean, obviously, it would be the summer where he'd think about that. But I mean, if we're title contenders at the moment and have a chance of winning silverware, he'd be mad to put in a request.
Well, for sure.
And we'd be certainly mad with the fact that we don't exactly have, much options up front.
No.
We'd be mad to get rid of him. We really would,
I'd like to see him getting in sync more with Firmino and Coutinho, because I don't think that he doesn't work hard enough. Do you know what I mean? He has the pace. That's what annoys me. But he doesn't work hard enough for the team when he plays. Like, he doesn't track back. You wouldn't see him. Now, you've seen Firmino the last day against United. He was back defending and everything. You don't see Sturridge doing that. You know?
No, but you see, I think it's a psychological thing with Sturridge. I think, even when he gets a knock, I mean, he's out for, I think Gerrard mentioned it in his book that most of what was Sturridge's problem was psychological. And I think, maybe he's afraid to kind of commit himself. Maybe he's afraid to, because, people say he's made of glass. And he is very, very injury prone. So maybe that is kind of playing on his head a bit. It's very, very hard to gel with regular team players. I mean, because it has to be said, Sturridge isn't a regular. Although he's kind of getting his game now. He's not definitely on the starting 11. I mean, it was Origi for that was up front. United.
Yeah. Yeah, but surely he's building up some kind of a relationship with other players that he's playing with day in, day out in training. You would expect that. Obviously Klopp sees something in him when he's putting him in for these type of games.
Yeah, but you see, this is the thing, John. I think with the kind of football that Klopp plays, I don't think Sturridge is a 90-minute player at the moment.
No.
And I think Klopp doesn't give two hoots. I mean, he's going to take someone off if there is any sign of him slowing down a bit. Now, in saying that, I think Sturridge should have come on in around when Coutinho came on, at the United game. Absolutely, I believe that he should have come on. But obviously, that didn't materialise. But I just think, he's very injury prone. Psychologically, it's kind of screwed him up a little bit. Hence why he's not being. He's not. I don't think he's as cocky as he was in 2013, 2014.
Yeah.
But again, he doesn't have Luis Suarez now. But I don't know. It's a difficult situation. I mean, there are times where I'm thinking, look, this fella, he's too injury prone. We can't rely on him. And then there are times when he comes on and just, shows some brilliance, and you're like, what the fuck, It's an awful shame because he is a fantastic player.
He is, yeah. And you know something? I wouldn't be surprised, and I'd be actually happy if the Chinese team came in for him. Because I think we'd get the money that he's worth.
They seem to be going for a lot of fucking players at the moment, John. But yeah, I mean, it's funny how that's worked. I don't know. I mean, if he was to leave, I'd love to see him go off to China, because I wouldn't like to see the move if he moved to a Premiership team.
Yeah.
That bite back in the ass.
Absolutely, I agree. I couldn't agree more. I definitely don't think he should go to another Premier League team.
No.
No. I don't know. West Ham were interested in him, and they did make noises about it. But yeah, I suppose, look, at the only other person to mention really is Shea Ojo. He came on for Sturridge after 76 minutes. Did all right. I suppose he did well down the left wing. He was a threat. He was taking on defenders. He did almost score, actually, at one point. He got a yellow card too, funnily enough, for simulation, for diving. It's questionable, but look, he's a young lad. I suppose he was keen to get make his mark on the game. So, you know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's games like that you know that they have their opportunity to make their mark on the game and to make an impression. So, I mean, if you don't go in with some efforts and ambition, then you know you shouldn't be wearing the jersey. So
exactly.
It's good to see a bit of passion.
Yeah. And he's coming back from an injury as well, so he needs minutes under his belt too. And it was good to see him get 15 minutes. I wasn't surprised when I didn't see him starting, but I certainly wasn't surprised when I seen his name on the bench. I had a feeling he was going to feature at some point. This is another exciting young lad that I think has a big future ahead of him. You know.
Yeah, I agree with you. Him and your man Ajaria. Ajaria, yeah.
So after that result, Liverpool beat Plymouth by 1-0 with the goal coming from Lucas after 18 minutes. His first goal in 7 games sets us up with a home clash in the next round.
7 years.
7 years, sorry. Did I say 7 minutes? It's 18 minutes, sorry. So that sets up a home tie against Wolves in the next round, and that's, as we mentioned earlier, it's on January 28th. So that's mine and Sean's match review. I'm sure you probably have a different opinion. If you do, please comment in the comment section below. You can leave comments on our Facebook page as well. And be sure to like our Facebook page. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. We're now up and running on Instagram. Give us a like on Spreaker. All our what's the word I'm looking for? All our username is, well, our merchandise as well, but all our username is Talk LFC Podcast. So if you're facebook.com/Talk LFC Podcast, same with Twitter, same with Instagram, same with all the platforms we're on. So give us a like, give us a follow. And check out our merchandise on redbubble.com. Links are on our Facebook page, on our website at talklfcpodcast.com. And I'm sure myself and Sean will be back. We were going to discuss, do another show and discuss the current situation with Joel Matip. So we may do something on that as well. So you wanted to say something, Sean? You mentioned something to me before we went.
This is not kind of football related, so you'll have to excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I have a very, very good friend who has been there for me through thick and thin, through a very nasty relationship, very nasty breakup, the death of my aunt there a year ago. Unfortunately, my friend Gemma Morris lost her grandfather there the other day, and you know, they were very, very close. So I just wanted to tell her that you know, we're all thinking of her, and you know, that it's a tough one for her. God bless her, but you know, she's just absolutely devastated. So I just wanted to let her know that you know, she's in our thoughts and prayers, and the rest of her family as well.
Absolutely, and I'd like to offer my condolences for Gemma too, if you'd be so kind as to pass them on my behalf, Sean.
Most definitely, yeah.
And I suppose that's a good note to finish up. As I said, follow us on all our social media. Give us a like on Spreaker, and check us out on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Spreaker, YouTube, and yeah, that's it. So thanks everybody for listening.
Thank you for listening to Talk LFC Podcast. Be sure to follow us at facebook.com/Talk LFC Podcast and on Twitter at twitter.com/Talk LFC Podcast. Get in touch with us by email at talklfcpodcast@gmail.com or via our website at www.talklfcpodcast.com.